This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West Podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
And welcome back to the Hockeytown West Podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis.
And boys, it is good to be back. I know we said we've been back a few times with regular season content, but preseason is over. The AHL season starts Friday. The ECHL season starts in a few weeks. I wish it started Friday as well, but here's where we're at. We're back. And the Wings obviously have their home opener Thursday night. So hockey's back. It feels good. I want to check in with you guys first. I'm going to go to Trav first, man. How you doing? Welcome back from vacation.
Oh, thanks, man. Good to be back. 9-day hiatus from you guys. Missed you guys. 2 new arenas for me and my wife, Kelsey. Minnesota's pretty cool, boys. If you ever get the trip to go, it feels like a true Northwoods in the whole building. Like all of the concessions are lodges and all that fun stuff. And honestly, like it's pretty cool. I'll go deeper into that in a Patreon content episode, but St. Louis was cool too. It actually kind of felt like the Joe on the concourse a little bit, but it was kind of bare. Like there wasn't a lot to see, but it had that old feel to it. But it's cool. It was a fun trip. Good to be back.
Yeah, you sent me pictures of that one, and I'm like, that looks boring on the inside. Like you sent me just the bowl, and I'm like, it looks boring in there. But maybe that's just because all these new arenas have spoiled us and ruined that old feel. So maybe I do got to experience it for myself one of these days. But glad you had fun.
I don't like, honestly, seeing that St. Louis sitting in the lower bowl. I don't like how the gondolas hang over the ice. It's aesthetically like you just like to look up and see all the banners and stuff, and just with the way that a lot of the teams run their banners down the side, I've come to realize, and the gondolas kind of take that away, so they kind of hide the banners, but it is what it is.
So I'm glad Detroit did that whole thing where they can raise and lower the banners that they put up, because I think a lot of arenas do that for like concert view obstruction instead of having them hanging over for upper bowl seats. So I think that's why in Van Andel, that's why ours are against that back wall there, because you would definitely have obstructed views in certain concerts from the upper bowl. So I like that Detroit did that, because I like them hanging over the ice, but that is it. Yeah, it's cool. But glad you had fun, man. Glad you guys added 2 more arenas to it. And I definitely do want to get to Minnesota. The videos you were sending me from that place looked sick. But head over to Nick here. Nick, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I was confused. I didn't know St. Louis had banners. I'm just kidding.
They won a cup recently, bro. You can't do that to them.
They just went from like the Tigers. That's when I was talking to Marie about it. I was like, what the Tigers did is kind of what St. Louis did, of like coming from like last place all the way to winning it that year. So just crazy. But yeah, I'm good. Started a new job last week and just kind of getting settled in, getting ready, and feels good to have some energy and momentum back.
It's nice to see you with energy and momentum. It's good. It's really refreshing. Now I just got to teach you how to edit, and my life will be saved. But
I'm going to edit that piece out, right?
No. I can teach you how to, though. But
yeah.
No, it is good to have you both on here. It's good to get this rolling. So this episode, we're going to kind of recap the Red Wings preseason a little bit. We're not going to go game by game or dive into it. Just kind of give our overall thoughts of the preseason, then talk about some of the roster moves that have already happened. Obviously, there's still others in progress. We're recording this on Sunday night at around 9:00. Obviously, there's guys on waivers right now that tomorrow we'll know more about. We really can't put a full roster into place for Grand Rapids just yet, but we're getting close enough to kind of talk about some details of it. So first, just the overall feeling of the preseason so far. For me, I felt like it was kind of as expected. I don't expect the team to go out there and just dominate in the preseason. I really don't want to see that half the time, because the last time a Detroit team dominated in a preseason, I think they lost every single game, if I remember that right. So we just don't like to think about that. But overall, every game, it looked like we were trying new things and trying to work out new things, and everything looked different for me in every single game. So that's what I liked seeing. We weren't just, this worked, and you're going to run with it all the way through preseason and play the games perfectly. No, they were messy. They were chaotic, but we were learning things about the team. The guys were clearly learning stuff about each other and figuring things out. So I like the direction the coaching staff took with it. Yeah, we didn't win a ton of games, but that's okay. There was a few shining stars, and we'll obviously talk about them, but just kind of overall thoughts on the team in preseason from you, Travis.
Well, mine will be pretty short and sweet, because I've seen more NHL preseason games that included the Dallas Stars, the Minnesota Wild, and the St. Louis Blues. I did get to go to the first game in the United Center. That was pretty cool. I thought Husso looked good from what I got to see of him. He looks healthy. Looks like he's back to the beginning of his time with Detroit, not the last year and a half or so. Outside of that, I believe it was Marco played in that game, and he was a shining star from what it sounds like the whole preseason. I did get to watch the game where he had 2 goals the other night. Good to see there. The top line to Brinkett, Larkin, Raymond in Chicago was really good. So that kind of gives Wings fans something to look real forward to. They kind of they just like took that chemistry they had last year and carried on with it. And then I got to see Kosa a little bit. He played the third period in Chicago. I thought he played well that game. I know might not have had the best outing the other night, but it is what it is, right? It's preseason. He's getting NHL reps. That's what's important. So you see a lot of overreactions on Twitter.
Oh gosh, yes.
What do you
talking
mean?
People off the ledge a little bit in some cases, but hey, it is what it is. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. All in all, I thought they tried a lot of different lines. They gave kids opportunities. I mean, at one point they had Marco with Tarasenko and Kane. Like, that's the kind of opportunities you like to see younger players have. Obviously, those guys are probably only going at about 60, 70%. Don't want to see guys get hurt, which is, ask Montreal and Ottawa how they like injuries in the preseason, and Toronto with Nylander. So I thought it was good from what I seen, but I'm going to pass the floor to you guys because I didn't see a whole lot.
Well, I know Nick didn't see a ton of it either with starting a new job and everything in the mix of all this, but for the little bits you did see, Nick, what do you got?
I mean, preseason, we do have so many games. Like, it's one of the longer teams with the amount of games. It's 8 games. It's a lot. But what I liked about it was you're able to throw out these guys. You can try to build chemistry. You can see, what's going to work, what's not going to work. I mean, like you said, Marco with Kane and Tarasenko, like, that could potentially be a line, at some point. For me, it's like, I want to see like how close are some of the guys here with the Griffins, like how close are they to make that next step to the Red Wings? So to see them play well against some of the, some of the teams brought out AHL players, some brought out ECHL players, some brought out their Red Wings, their NHL players. So it's always good to see like how competitive, how close they are. Yeah, some of these guys might be going 60, 70%, and our young guys are going a little bit harder. I mean, it's just seeing that difference. And we'll talk about players in a minute, but like some of those guys really showed out, and it's like, this is what we saw last year. And we kind of like had our ranking of where players were going and kind of the development path. So seeing what we said, like come full circle of like seeing it in the NHL, like seeing it now through preseason was fantastic for me. I thought the penalty kill, the power play looked a lot better as well. A lot more tic-tac-toe passing. So I like that aspect. And hopefully we see a little bit more of that. But without getting too deep into players, I like the preseason. I mean, it gives us the chance to compare and see where our guys are comparatively to the other rosters and development. So I wish some guys would have got more time. Like, I wish Kosa got more time, to be honest. I think he only got
but he doesn't
game.
need that time just yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's more next year. You're going to see him get more time. We needed to see Husso more. We needed to understand where he's at, get him good reps, especially after those injuries. And like Travis said, he looked good. He looks healthy. He looks like Husso, which if, the Wings do have a healthy Husso back and they don't need to overwork him, that's a really good sign for the season coming forward. And, like you said, some of the guys out there only going 70, 80% probably at their normal game speed. Like Larkin's not out there playing full game speed. Raymond's not out there playing full game speed. But you expect these kids to be going out there and playing full game speed, and most of them were, and a lot of them you saw a lot of steps forward in their development from previous years. And we'll just jump right into players, obviously. Marco Kasper is the headline story of this preseason. I think everybody was so hype at the beginning of this, thinking it was going to be Nate Danielson. Nate's going to make the team. He's going to steal the show. And Marco said, hey, I'm still here, guys. Don't forget about me, and wowed us all. I think he's taken monumental steps forward in his development this year. And the excitement level for, yes, we are going to have him in Grand Rapids. It appears as of right now, whether, how long that is this season, we don't know, but we're going to have him in a Griffins uniform. And you would ask me 2 weeks ago during the preseason, I'd say, no, we're probably not. He's tearing it up. But the fact that we're going to, as a Griffins podcast and a Griffins fan, I am thrilled. He's going to tear it up in the AHL this year and do really good things to get him into that next step in Detroit. But Nick, what was your overall thoughts just on Marco for the preseason?
I mean, to me, I might go on a little rant here, but last year Nate played all the preseason games, and everybody was super high on Nate, and he went back to juniors based off of the rules and the rules for the NHL and WHL and things like that. So we understood that at that point. And then he came to Grand Rapids. He got his couple games in. I think it was like 2 or 3 with Griffins. Nate did, and he did well. Like to assimilate quickly, played a safe game here, and everybody was like, he's going to make the roster this year. And I'm like, I don't think he's going to. Like, Marco is still the top center to move up. He's already played 2 years professionally, one over in Austria and then here, right?
It's SHL.
He played 1 year in the SHL professionally, and then he played 1 over here. His growth, development, strength, his hockey IQ, it's already at that faster pace than what Nate has played in juniors. So I don't know why like everybody kind of glossed over Marco Kasper. Like, we've seen it from December of last year till now, just the improvement. Even the offseason he had a hell of an offseason. Like, he had a great offseason. And it shows, like, he put in the work. I thought I wasn't able to watch the game the other night where he had the 2 goals, but he's been one of the like top players, and I could see him doing half the season here with Grand Rapids, half the season up with Detroit. Just with me, I just don't know where he fits with Detroit at the moment, based off contracts and roster spaces.
Yeah, I mean, would we rather him, get playing time in Detroit, spend some nights in the press box and play 4th line minutes, or play 1st line minutes? Because he will be playing, like, there's no doubt in my mind, he's playing 1st line minutes in Grand Rapids now. Like, last year, he spent time in between the 2nd and 3rd line. He will be our 1st line center, or even if they throw him on the wing. There was moments in preseason we saw him on the wing, and I'm okay with that. He looked good. But yeah, he made a lot of steps. And that's not to say that Nate's not in a good position right now either. Right. Nate looked great in preseason. Defensively on the puck, this kid is so impressive. But yes, Marco definitely put himself a little bit ahead of him right now, which is what a terrible problem to have as an organization. 2 top pick centers battling it out to get to their spot. Oh no, how terrible. This is awesome. I love this. And Trav, what thought? Oh.
And like Nate, like you said, though, Nate just needs a little bit of time to develop. It's not anything. It's not a knock on Nate Danielson at all. He's just needs that year here in the organization, in the system, and get used to the stronger, faster guys. That's all. I mean, Marco's already had that time to adjust. So I don't want anybody to take that negatively towards Nate, because I think he will be a heck of a player.
Yeah, he's going to be special. Trav, overall thoughts on Marco, though, to wrap up talking about him.
So I got kind of 3 takeaways primarily. First is, Brandon, we sat next to each other at the red-white game, and that's like the one person we couldn't stop talking about. So It didn't really surprise me that it carried into the preseason. Secondly, I seen a tweet. Well, I call it a tweet, whatever you want to know, whatever you want to call it, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. Jeff Merrick put a tweet out last night that said, Detroit fans should be, along the lines of, Detroit fans should be pretty excited for what they got in Marco Kasper. And then he ended that note with, they might have found something also with ammo, which we can get into later. So people around professional hockey are starting to see that. Obviously, we don't know what Jeff's future is, but he still knows the game of hockey at a very good level. So for somebody to put that into the Twitter sphere, X sphere, to everybody to see, that's exciting. And thirdly, what a great problem to have, right? What wins you cups? Great goaltending, good defense, and center depth. Like, you need all 3 to go win a cup. And if Detroit fans want to get there, you got 2 kids that are now pushing the envelope to get to the next level. Like, just get there. I mean, with the proper development, Detroit might have seriously found some really good players to be down the middle behind Larkin in the future.
I mean, how many teams have you seen with good prospects in their system, but they go sign bad long-term contracts that these kids end up getting buried and traded and moved? Detroit doesn't have that problem. Like a bunch of our deals expire in the next year or two, and Steve did a fantastic job of constructing that to where it's going to be ready. The doors will be open for these kids when they're ready. Like it's not going to be oh shoot, suddenly here we are, the door's open, throw them in there like we've been doing the past 10 years. We can play this out right. It's going to work in our favor. But to have someone like Jeff Merrick realizing what we have here in Detroit and call it out, one, that's awesome, especially like ammo getting thrown into that tweet there. Like that's got to boost his confidence even more if he's seeing that. Like that's a guy you want talking about you in the world of hockey. The guy knows his stuff. So for those two to be brought up in that and to go that direction with it, it's just super exciting. As a Griffin show, like we said, this is going to be probably the most exciting year for us in years as Griffins fans, but as a show, God, we're going to have so much to talk about this year, so much to cover, and I hope you follow along with us. It's going to be a fun ride. But Travis, you brought him up. Let's talk about ammo. I wasn't going to talk about him just yet, but hell, let's do it. Amadeus Lombardi had a fantastic preseason. The notes that we had going into the offseason for him was he needed to get bigger and stronger. Check that box. He did that. He looks great. He's holding off guys left and right. He maintained his speed while getting bigger and stronger, which I didn't know if he'd be able to pull off. He did. He's super fast still. And his hands look even silkier than they did before. There were so many points and times where he came in on breakaways or getting behind the defense and getting up close to the net and trying little moves here and there. And it was nothing too flashy where he was trying too much. He was doing just enough. But God, it all looked good. He's going to make some moves in the AHL this year. We've said it 100 times. It's going to be a breakout year. It will be an Amadeus Lombardi breakout year. Trav, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, all signs are pointing to it. Just a matter. It'll be interesting to see where he plays. I think between the three of us, two of us think he's going to be a winger. One of us thinks he's going to be a center, but we'll see. I'm excited for him. The goal against Pittsburgh was unbelievable. I mean, that was a great play. I mean, he looked almost like an NHL veteran making that kind of a move with the confidence he made to take it to the middle and then just blow it by the goaltender. And I want to say, wasn't that their starting goaltender?
It was.
Wasn't it Tristan Jarry? That's what I thought.
Yep.
So even again, more confidence. You score a goal like that against an NHL goaltender on the road. Doesn't matter if it's preseason or not. To make the play is impressive, and I can't wait to see what he does this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Nick, thoughts on ammo? Obviously, we know you're a big ammo fan. His junior jersey's hanging behind you.
Yeah, he did all right.
Moving on.
He did. Last year he came in and he just kind of got used to the organization and the speed of play. Like he was playing a safer game. He did have, I think he ended up with like 4 or 5 goals last year. Not a whole lot, and it wasn't something that he was looking to really take advantage of the accounting stats last year. And that's what he told us too when we talked with him. But I think this year he's looking more aggressive in the offensive zone, and he's taking those chances. He's taking those shots, and he's letting it rip. He's got the confidence to just let it rip this year. And you've seen that through the preseason. You saw it in the red and white game. You saw it at the prospect camp. Like he is just on another level. And maybe it was just the hair like was holding him down. It was just he was a little bit slower with it. I feel now like I'm just so excited. I love when he scores, and there's a lot of excitement around him. There's a lot of sizzle. He's a late round draft pick. I mean, I think like anything we get out of him is going to be fantastic. I honestly don't care where he plays, center, left, right. It doesn't matter to me. I just hope he plays. I hope he gets there. I'm hoping we can run into him here next, and I can figure out what jersey number he's going to have for the Red Wings, so I can get that put on one of my blanks. So I'm super excited for him. I love to see him having the success that he is, especially coming from the Flint area. So I know that's not where he's from, but that's where he played.
Right. No, I mean, you got to give him more credit. He had 5 goals last year.
I said 4 or 5. I was close.
One of the things, though, that he did, he was tied for the lead in rookies with assists on the team last season with 21. And then the guy in third behind those two, he was tied with Marco Kasper. Yeah. And the guy behind him was Carter Mazer. Like, the signs are there for him to just do great things this year. And you remember, he wasn't looking to go in there and score 100 points last year. That wasn't his goal. His goal was to figure this system out. And that's what Dan's goal was for him too. They didn't expect him to come in here and play and put up numbers like he did in junior. They expected him to figure it out and then see what the next season will bring. And the expectations will obviously go up this season, and the expectations from himself will go up. But he's got all the tools right there to deliver, and he's going to be surrounded by talent that's going to help him deliver that too. This Griffins team is so stacked. It's not even funny.
And if you look at his first season with Flint, he had 18 goals and 41 assists. That next season, he had 45 goals and 57 assists. So like he started slow by getting the assists, and then the next season he turned around and ripped it. So I mean, I could see that same progression here this year with Grand Rapids.
Yeah, 100%. And, another guy that I think will produce and do well this year in Grand Rapids, I don't know how long we'll have him here either, is going to be Carter Mazer. I think Carter answered a lot of questions that we had about him heading into the offseason because, we could see the skill set and the tool set there. We just didn't know what it'll look like long term because there was injuries last year that he had to deal with. We didn't get to see a full season out of him. But we just kind of want to see where he progressed. And we've all heard the jokes. He's been told to just eat a bunch of food and get bigger. And dude is a full-grown man right now. He's huge. He's going to go out and just dominate people up and down the ice. He's going to be able to push whoever is against him off the puck. But I think he had a really good showing in preseason. Was it the best showing possible? No. There was little things here and there. But what I saw from him that I liked the most was that the motor has gotten stronger and the compete level has gotten even higher. The kid did not give up on a single play that was around him. He was doing all the right things. There was no, he eased off and that guy got by him. If the puck was near him, he was going for it. He's battling for it. There's that one assist that he had diving after he loses the puck, admittedly himself, loses the puck, but dives and makes a play and gets it back to Jeff Petrie, who rips it in the net. It's just crazy how these things work. But I thought he had a fantastic preseason. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Travis, what were you thinking about Carter?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like I said, I kind of had a limited viewing, so I didn't see him a ton. He did play in Chicago, I believe, when I was there. High compete, didn't give up on plays, physical when he needed to be, but I think you guys are going to have more of an input than I am on him, so I'm just going to pass her over to Nick.
Love it. So with him, the biggest thing that I've been thinking about too is some of these guys, like they come in and they're just like, they're at that level, like they're at the NHL level of 8, 9, or 10 on a 10 scale, and they blend in. They do really well. And then sometimes you get like Connor McDavid or Cal McCarr who goes that next level, and they're significantly noticeable. And like I think Carter right now, like with the Red Wings, he's blending right in. He's able to keep up the same level. He's able to keep up the same pace. He's able to keep the play and fit in. I think with the Griffins, I'm waiting for him to go that next level like he was last year, just to build. I think he's going to be head and shoulders above the rest, and he's going to make, like, you're going to be able to look out and be like, yeah, this guy's significantly better than the rest of them with the amount of points he puts up. It'll be good to see him too this year without Jonathan Berggren feeding him all those pucks and getting in the, giving him the good opportunities from rebounds and things like that too. So I'm excited to see what he does this year to just go that next level with the accounting stats, because once he gets going, he's feeling good. He's putting the puck back in the net. Like that's what I want to see out of Carter this year. So preseason, like I only was able to watch 2-3 games, and I don't think he was in the Buffalo game. I think he played Pittsburgh. I'm trying to remember the AHL one. The AHL heavy one is the one I covered. I'm trying to remember which.
No, Carter was in Detroit for that one, that doubleheader night, which was just wild to keep track of on top of watching a Lions game. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, Carter, 37 points in 60 games last year. He missed 11 games in the season with injury and everything. And we really saw him come out in the playoffs and really perform at that point. And like you said, he was paired up with Bergie a lot last season, but you can't, take any credit away from him being paired up with a guy like Jonathan Berggren. But I mean, this year, he's going to probably be on a stacked line again. You're probably going to have him with Joe Snively and Marco Kasper. Like, we saw a preview of that line in training camp, and we saw it throughout preseason, and the chemistry's there. Like, Dan's got his first line set. It's good to go. The guys know each other. They're well acquainted, and they know how to play the puck and do the right things. I'm so excited for him because I think it's going to be his pro breakout year right now. I think we're going to see him and Ammo and Marco just dominate this team. We're going to have, I don't want to put that now. We're going to have probably 3 guys right there. If for some reason all 3 played a full season in Grand Rapids, which I don't think Marco will, you're probably looking at 70+ point players across the board. I could see all three of them doing it, honestly. Maybe put Ammo in the 60s because I don't think he'll have as much time. But if they're going to have the breakout season I think they're about to have, you're going to see some crazy numbers from these kids, especially with who they're surrounded with.
I'll say this quick. My dad's even excited about the Griffins. Like, he texted me today after I told him that Ammo got sent down, or not Ammo, Marco got sent down. He goes, well, GR should be pretty good. And I was like, they should be really good.
We've made the joke all offseason and preseason that they're going to be a wagon. This roster on paper is one of the best I've seen in a very long time. When you're talking about the amount of first round picks in general from Detroit on this roster, and the veteran talent that's been added, and the goaltending that we're going to have, and everything. It's going to be really insane.
Is this
the coaching we're already used to?
It's good coaching, though.
Is this the highest amount of first-round picks or, like, high-end prospects we had since, like, Rasmussen, Cholowski, Svechnikov?
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember that year there was, like, 5 of them down there? But, like, I feel like this team, like, almost might be better than that team was.
It very, very possible. I mean,
a lot of comparison. Sorry, I only know that because that's the first time I came to a Griffins game. Was during that season? It was like Seider, and there was like 5 of them down there.
That's fair. Yeah, there's like the roster last season. A lot of comparisons were made to the 2013 Calder Cup championship team. They were very young with some good veterans on there, but it was young. A lot of younger guys, a lot of higher picks, for Detroit and everything like that. This season does remind me a lot of the 2017 team on paper, stacked with young talent, but stacked with high-end veteran talent. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. Not saying that our vets last year weren't the best, just some of them we didn't get the play that we expected out of them, which sucks. Like, some of the guys just couldn't mesh with the way the system was working, and that's okay. It happens. Not like they're bad players, but this team's looking special. Before we get off on a tangent on that, though, there was 2 more guys I did want to talk about from preseason. I could talk about every single guy that got assigned to Grand Rapids, but we'd be here for 3 hours, and we won't do that to you, wonderful listeners, and Nick.
Or you to edit.
Yeah, that one would be the most unedited episode. It would just go. We just shoot from the hip and see what happens. But 2 guys. First one, Hunter Johannes, because he played more preseason games than I thought he was going to. And again, just like he did in the prospects camp, just like he did in training camp, he impressed. I think he's going to end up higher in the lineup than our original too early to predict lineup episode for Grand Rapids where we had him. Like, he's going to probably be a primary third line player on this team with the potential to play second line if he's doing really well. And he's still got that grit and mean streak in him as well to go out there and stand up for his teammates. He's going to be a special player. But what are you guys thinking he's going to do this season? I'll throw it to whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, Trav.
This is my dude.
It is.
Yeah. I'm excited for him. I don't have a whole lot more to say. I think I've kind of spoke my word on this. I just got because I didn't get to see a lot of his games. So I just got 2 questions for you guys. Was he big?
Yep.
And was he physical?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Grand Rapids, you're going to love this guy. Nick, you got the floor.
Yeah. I mean, this guy was interesting when he came in because he finished college and then he came right to us with a tryout, and then he earned that tryout. And from what I am reading throughout everything I've been seeing, is that the Red Wings, the organization, not just the Griffins, really like his game. And, I could see him potentially moving into that 13th forward kind of spot where he comes in, he beats the crap out of people when he needs to. He plays a physical game. I mean, he's got a lot of good tools for us, and he could develop into somebody. He kind of, I don't know if this is good or not, but kind of like a Dominic Shine kind of role player of aggressive when he needs to, and he still can put the puck in the back of the net, and just the heart that he has on it. I mean, he's a physical dude. I don't want to say he's a boy because he's a
physical specimen.
He's a grown man when we saw him out there, and we're like, this guy's huge. So I mean, I love his game, just how aggressive he is. I mean, even when we played Rockford near the end, like he was just going at him. So like I'm hoping this is a future fit for us. Like he stays with the organization. It's not something that he's going up or down. You saw a lot of the college guys that we signed over the offseason get sent to Toledo. I mean, as of
spoilers,
today,
we haven't gotten there yet.
yeah, well, I mean, we'll get to that, but and I mean, Hunter still carved out a nice role with us here in Grand Rapids, and I'm glad he's still here. I like his style of play.
I mean, if you want to make comparisons with him, like I don't think he's going to be like a career NHLer, and that's no offense to him. Like I think he's going to be probably a career AHL player with the upside to be able to be called up when needed. I think he does have that potential to get that deal to where he can be a call up in certain situations. But the comparison I want to make most to him, except he's forward and not a defenseman, is going to be Dylan McElrath. When Griffins fans saw him coming rough and tough, plays a really solid game up and down the ice on defense, and was just a really solid player. And now you look at him in the Capitals organization, obviously multiple time Calder Cup champion, but he also does get called up to Washington every once in a while. He can go play that role that he needs to play there. He can go be rough and tough, and the fans love him up and down the organization. I think he's going to be that guy. What?
He played in playoff games for the Capitals this year.
Yeah, I think he's going to be that guy. He has the potential to do that. And this is the season for him to go out there and show he can do it. Like you said, the Red Wings love him. And if you're just a college kid that got signed to a PTO at the end of last season, undrafted, and you come in and make noise and then do all this stuff you're doing now and have all this recognition, again, confidence is going to be sky high. But I don't think he needs any extra confidence. This kid believes in himself. You can tell he goes out there and he gives it his all. His motor does not stop. And his battles in the corners are ruthless. He usually comes out with the puck probably 80% of the time. I wish there was an actual track stat for that. But yeah, probably he's going to have a special season.
That's a better comparison than what I had for. Like, I'm just trying to think of somebody else that plays an aggressive physical style on our team, and it's like Shine, but I don't want to put him that closely related to Shine. So Dylan is probably the best comparison. And a lot
Shine's his own impressive specimen there. He is a special person on this team, and we love him very much. The last guy, obviously, we hinted at him a little bit there earlier, Sebastian Cossa. I do want to talk about him because we did get to see some preseason time out of him, which was great. Some games he looked really good. He did have a rough outing there, but that's okay because we know how he bounces back, and I don't think he's going to take that as, oh, I got a problem. But how excited are both of you to watch what he's about to do in Grand Rapids this season?
Go ahead, Trav. This is your guy.
This is my guy. This is me and Brandon's guy, actually. You got the booster club of Sebastian Cossa right here with me and Brandon. I just continuously see the growth and development. So for some of the Griffins fans, if you would have seen day one Toledo Cossa to now Cossa, you're looking at a completely different player, completely different person. He's so calm, cool, and collected, and just still has that swagger about him a little bit. He just he plays with that confidence, and when he's confident, puck is not getting by him. I thought he looked really well in Chicago, given the few looks he had against him. The big save on Bedard, that was huge. Confidence booster, I'm sure, for him. I'm sure, hey, does he want to make the team this year? Yeah, but everybody wants to make the team. But I think he knows what his role is for this year and what the development plan is for him. And I think it's just stay on track. And I'm telling you guys, the long game with this kid is going to pay off. And it's almost, it might be scary.
Yeah, you're right. The long game is going to play off because, the long game is going to pay off. Look what's happened just in the Central Division in the AHL alone. Look at last year, right? You had Askarov being Askarov, and he got traded, and hopefully he can find his way in San Jose out there because I do believe he's an elite goaltender that has tons of potential. But he's now battling injuries. We don't know what that's looking like out there. You had Wallstead. He played really well his first season in Iowa, plays decent last season, gets called up, gets lit up, comes back down, struggles to find his game, and there again, the process was rushed a little bit with him. You have Sebastian Cossa, still the remaining guy in the Central Division in the AHL. He's just chilling, doing his own thing, and he's going to dominate. He's going to be, I'm going to call it now, a top 5 goaltender in the AHL this year. There's no way he's not. Not to put too much pressure on him, but he's going to have that type of season. He's already in that form that we kind of saw him in midseason last year. So when he comes in to a team that's definitely well put together, well, better put together than last season. Everyone was trying to find, their line mates. They're trying to understand each other, trying to get to know each other. The cohesiveness of the team this year is going to be so much better. Right off the get-go. I think Coase is going to thrive off that. And as the team gets closer and closer and closer, he's just going to continue to get better and better. And what do we say that championship teams, they're not just groups of players, they're families. And that's what this team's going to turn into really quick. And I can feel like, again, something special is brewing. But Coase himself is going to have a big, big, big year. Nick, you have a lot of eye movement and a lot of head movement in that one. What are your thoughts there? I know you've got something to come back with there.
I was the way you were going there at the end. I thought you were going to say, what the saying is: if you stay here, we'll become champions. That's where I thought you were leading towards. Coase looks a lot better this year. Through preseason, through camp, through prospect games, or the red and white game, he looks a lot better. His movement is way more dialed in. He's not over skating to the sides. He looks more dialed in. I expect him to be one of those top 5 goalies this year. My concern is just the team that's in front of him a little bit. I mean, I want to pump your guys' brakes a little bit with the amount of defensemen that have. We had Simon leave and we had Albert Johansson leave, so our 2 best defensemen leave. So it's a little bit more. Some newer guys coming in, some unproven guys. So I think he also had to have a big offseason to prepare himself for what's going to be in front of him this coming season. So I could still see a slow start just to get used to the guys in front of him and to get used to, I don't want to say pace, but it's just, I don't want to put too heavy expectations on him yet. Let's see how the season goes and roll there. He looks better though. He does look better than last year.
Man, I hate to throw an ad break right in where I feel like one of these 15-minute debates is about to happen, but I'm going to do it. And when we come back, we'll continue that conversation. So, Nick, go read the ad.
The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all of the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Super easy for the first timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. With the Red Wings opening the season on Thursday, October 10th, the current line is Detroit Red Wings a -130 on the money line. Odds and lines are subject to change between now and then. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 and bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 and bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Blue Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see tkng.co/ice. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something you'd love to learn? As an adult, do you make time to learn new things as often as you like, or was that lost in childhood? Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. What's something you'd like to learn? Gardening? A new language? Or maybe how to finally beat your best friend in bowling? Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back-to-school era can come at any age. Therapy can help address anxiety or fear of speaking another language, or help you learn your own personal learning strategy. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with licensed therapists and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN.
All right, and we're back. I had to keep them separated during the ad break here. It was getting intense.
But I didn't say nothing. I think it was
just
you
kidding.
that said something.
Yeah, it was
You
me.
walked away. You had to clear your head.
I came back with a fresh beverage. Anyways, so Nick, you pointed out one thing, and it's something we've talked about a lot this offseason. It is the defense with the Griffins, right? Simon Edvinsson's gone. Albert Johansson's gone. We have to accept that. But some moves were made today that I want to get into real quick before we continue the conversation. Is one of the big moves is Justin Hull was put on waivers by the Detroit Red Wings. And with his cap hit, nobody's going to pick him up. I would be shocked if somebody did, but no one's going to. And also in that, William Lagesson was put on waivers too, who also had a decent preseason. I won't go into a full breakdown of him, but I think he played pretty well and he looked good in camp and everything like that. And for the AHL level, I think he's going to be a really good defenseman. As soon as we realized he was going to get sent down, we kind of automatically said, is he going to get put on that top pairing with Wallander? The defense with those two moves right there for Grand Rapids looks so much better than what it did 3 weeks ago. It looks like solid defense because even Travis just said it before we hit resume here. Justin Hull is still an NHL defenseman if he's making $2 million less. It's his contract that sucks when it comes to Detroit right now. It's the term and the cap hit there that really sucks. But is he a good defenseman? Yes. We saw him in, he's playing the third pairing, even borderline second pairing. He was good. Back in Toronto, they kept trying to force him into the first pairing and it went terrible and they all hate him for it. But it wasn't his problem. It wasn't his fault. He just got put in situations that were not meant for him. First pairing in the AHL, Justin Hull should be pretty darn impressive. And Nick, you commented before we started recording that he looked angry in the preseason. And I was like, yeah, he's fighting for a job. We're going to get the best out of Justin Hull right now because he's fighting for his career at this point. He's going to come in here and do really good things. And think about this. He's going to be paired up with a young defenseman that is another defenseman of the future that we want to see continue to develop in a William Wallander or an Antti Tuomisto, wherever he lines up at. It doesn't matter. These kids are now surrounded with so much veteran leadership on the blue line that is going to probably allow them to activate more on the offensive side of the puck and show us what they've got there, but also teach them the ways of a stay-at-home defenseman. If we're not expecting Justin Hull to jump up into the play and make crazy plays, and he's just got to be the stay-at-home guy to keep the puck out of our zone, he's going to do really well with that. So I think Sebastian Cossa has a good decor in front of him that really we didn't know what it was going to look like until waiver moves started happening today because we didn't know where people were going to land. So I think the defenseman in Grand Rapids argument probably got killed today with the waivers. I don't know. Travis, what do you think?
Two theories. First of all, like Brandon said, Justin Hull at half the money's on the Detroit Red Wings. And he's probably on other NHL rosters because he probably wouldn't clear waivers because he's a right shot D man. Secondly,
Jeff Petrie would be here.
Yeah. Secondly, I'm just gonna put this out there and hope that the future consideration from the Sharks is picking up Justin Hull on waivers.
Interesting.
It's probably not going to happen, but I mean, boy, would that be the, hey, thank you. Here's $3.4 million for Detroit to play with now. Not saying it's likely not going to happen, but I mean, if at 2:00 tomorrow, if it does happen, I'll be happy.
If that happens tomorrow, everyone come back to this part of the episode and drop a comments at this point saying, Travis, you're right. But Nick, what do you got? I see the wheels turning. You got thoughts?
So I feel
attacked.
I feel attacked. I don't feel like this is a safe place anymore. Wait, are we recording? No. So I feel super confident with the forwards that we have. Like our center depth is good. Our wings are good. Our goalie, I feel super confident in as well. It's just the biggest question mark that I have going into the season is the defenseman. And even with these, you could still have NHL caliber guys down here at the AHL, but it's the chemistry. It's just making sure that everybody does fit, everything does match, and the communication is there. We are returning some guys from last year that were like second or third pairing that we're expecting them to jump to that first pairing, second pairing now. And that's where are these guys ready for that? Are they first pairing guys or are they more second, third pairing guys? I mean, we were big on another player, and at this point now I'm kind of backtracking because I don't know if that guy is where I thought he was going to be in the lineup. So I trust Dan Watson, who played defenseman, who was a defensive coach. Brian Lashoff also did amazing things with this defensive core. So I know that they're going to be able to have the success, and like we shouldn't worry too much. So it's just getting that coaching to be able to up coach those guys to where they need to be, where I can feel more confident of like, okay, our forward, our defense, our goalie, everybody's on the same page. That's the biggest thing. Like everybody's hitting at the same time kind of thing. I just feel like the defense isn't where the forwards and goalies are at the moment. And the goalies are even more of a question mark at the moment than probably the defensemen after
we'll
the
get
last.
to that in a minute.
Yeah. So I'll leave that there. But I don't want to say the defense is going to be bad this year. I have more questions marks there than I have anywhere else on the roster.
Well, we at least got him off that cliff. All right. Well, another thing that I want to point out, I accidentally closed my note that had the pairings from all the preseason games on it without hitting save. So genius me. But the coaching staff is a couple steps ahead of everyone here. And Justin Holl and Lagesson were not paired with Red Wings defensemen most of the time in practices, in camp, and in games. The chemistry was already being built in front of us. We just weren't smart enough to go, hey, he's going to get put on waivers.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be good there. And yeah, it's going to take a few games. Like the first few games, the first month, it's not going to be perfect, but no team's going to be perfect. You're going to see this across the AHL. I think they're going to be better on defense than we thought. And then the other biggest change from last year to this year when it comes to the Grand Rapids Griffins is there's a heck of a lot more defensively responsible forwards on this team now. Not saying that there wasn't a ton last year, but there was definitely gaps there. And you look at guys like Sheldon Dries, Joe Snively, you look at Marco Kasper's defensive play already improving from last year. You look at Nate Danielson, who's a defensive monster as a forward. And Ammo's defensive play has gotten better. Elmer's defensive play has gotten better. That's going to close any extra gap we have on the back end. It's going to be a nightmare, I feel like, to get through this Griffins team, to get near your goaltender. Between size and speed and grit, teams are going to struggle to get through the Griffins, just based on how things have looked so far. And I could eat all these words and have a miserable season in front of me, but I highly, highly doubt that.
Just set us up for 0-2 opening weekend.
I'll turn into Steve Dangle over here if that's the case.
Oh, God.
But to wrap up the defensive talk, like I said, it was going to create a discussion. I had to throw an ad break in the middle of it. But the last thing we got to talk about was probably Nick's favorite highlight of the preseason. It was Simon Edvinsson versus the Ottawa Senators. Something we saw here in Grand Rapids last year when we played the Belleville Senators as the Flying Toasters. Simon Edvinsson owns that organization. He does. Nick, what did you see?
I'm so ready for the rest of the Red Wings fans to see Simon on his crazy look eye level of just screw you. I'm running through you. I am gonna, if I need to, I'll fight you if I need to. But that guy, he didn't have to, because he just held him off, just laughed at him as he's holding him from the reach that he has, and just put him down very quickly to go to sleep. Just, yep, you're going to be here, and off to the penalty box you go. My favorite moment, I'm so glad that he was that aggressive, because with Mo, like, you want that because of all the reverse hits, but he kind of held, and then last year we finally got our first Mo fight, so that was like iconic for me, just all the hair just flowing. So it's good to see Simon taking that step. Hopefully we see those two paired up together moving forward. I know he's not part of the Griffins anymore, but it's one of my favorite things of Simon just growing and being better, each game. Like, I'm just happy to see it, because I gave this guy a lot of crap last year. So I will own up to that, but I'm glad that he's going the way he is now, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, Detroit fans, I know they've seen clips of it and everything where he goes crazy or gets the crazy eyes going. Seeing it in person, in action out there, it's a whole new level. And aggressive Simon is fun Simon. But again, even in those situations, like, he's not trying to instigate it to not take that penalty. He just holds the guy there. He does laugh at him, which is really funny, but he just holds him and then lets the guy make a fool of himself and throw a couple little punches there. It's just like when Angus Crookshank went after him. Simon held him. He went for one punch, laughed at him. He went for the second punch, and Simon's like, all right, I guess we're doing this, and dropped one glove and took him down. Didn't even need the other hand. Like, it was very efficient in that category. And it was probably it's in our intro, for God's sakes. It's one of the highlights of the season last year for Grand Rapids. It's just fun to see him do that stuff. And he did have a really, really good preseason. I don't think there's a single like Red Wings signed player that we don't really talk about much on the show because we're a Griffins and prospects and Toledo Walleye focused podcast. There wasn't really any Red Wings that were out there where I was kind of just like, oh God, this looks bad. Like everyone looked like they did last year, if not better. And I can't really complain. I think Andrew Kopp had a couple bad nights, but hey, Copper figures it out as he goes. He just does his own thing. So I'm excited for Detroit overall. I think it's going to be a fun season no matter what happens. It's going to be fun. And that's what we want to see. The fans are going to enjoy the hockey that this team is going to play. They're going to go out there and do good things. And that's just the best way, I think, to wrap up the full Detroit Red Wings preseason talk is just saying it's going to be a fun season. And we'll talk about Detroit on and off on the show throughout the season. We'll have fun with it. But we're excited. Go Wings. It's going to be a fun year. I wish I was going to the home opener, but getting on a plane at 7:30 in the morning the next morning after that would really suck.
Are you flying out of Detroit?
No, I'm not, unfortunately. I wish. If I was, different story. I'd be there. But I do want to move on. Let's talk just real quick the full roster movement that happened today. Obviously, we talked about it earlier. The biggest move, Marco Kasper, is starting the season with Grand Rapids, at least as of right now. And then MBN is heading back to the SHL. That is all confirmed and everything else there. And obviously all the Griffins players we expected to come down, Amadeus, Lombardi, Alexander Doucette, Raklovsky, Didier, Shine, Johannes, all of them are assigned here. A few guys got assigned to the Toledo Walleye too, which I know, Travis, we've been waiting for to figure out what that roster is going to look like so we can finally start talking about it. And they've got a couple fun pieces down there that we didn't expect in Carson Bantle and Gabriel Seeger. I liked what I saw from Seeger in training camp when we were at the red and white game. And we both kind of looked at each other and said, Walleye fans are going to love him. He's a big dude. He can play a physical game, but he can shoot the puck. And I think they're going to have a lot of fun with him down there. And obviously Chaz Redekop and Jan Bednar were also assigned to the Toledo Walleye. And then today it was all completed. Nate Danielson, Cross Hannes, Carter Mazer, Elmer Soderblom, Nanti Tuamisto, Troy Dello, Emil Viro, William Wallander, Sebastian Kosa, and Carter Gylander were assigned to Grand Rapids, which that goalie piece is an interesting part. And we'll jump into that here next because it was announced, I think it was Friday, that Jack Campbell entered the NHL Player Assistance Program. And before we jump into anything, we hope Jack is doing okay. We hope he's getting the help he needs. We hope everything's all right there. That obviously all comes first before hockey. We don't care about anything hockey related. Mental health, physical health, personal health, that's all way more important. So hopefully Jack's doing all right and getting the help he needs. And we look forward to seeing him back when he's ready. Now to move into hockey, this does create an interesting situation in Grand Rapids because we thought the goalie tandem was set. It was the one thing that we were not going to be confused about. We knew it was going to be Jack and Kosa. Now there's a big question mark around it. We kind of thought it would be Bednar Kosa to start, but Bednar was assigned to Toledo. We know there's still 5 days before the season starts and things can change. But Gylander was assigned here and not assigned here then Toledo. I think that's interesting, and I really wonder if they're going to go that route to start the season of a Sebastian Kosa, Carter Gylander tandem. I want to get your guys' thoughts.
To me, it's weird just based off the fact that Bednar didn't get signed with Toledo. He signed with Grand Rapids, so I assumed that he was just kind of moving up. He did all last year in Toledo. He was going to back up. Be the first call up if there was an injury to either Jack or Sebastian this year. So I thought it was going to be Bednar coming up next, but to see Carter Gylander moving up kind of makes a little bit of sense just based off of him being up here last year in the organization. He did get a little bit more looks during camp throughout, even with the practices. I didn't see Jack. Jack was out there quite a bit too, but it just it throws me off that it's Gylander here and not to Toledo and not Bednar here. But they know what they're doing. So just interesting for Kosa to kind of come into the season. We're looking at it as he's going to have a veteran to be able to help mentor him with Jack Campbell, which perfect guy to have based off of his draft situation and everything that he's gone through with in his NHL and AHL career. And then now it's, hey, you're going to mentor the young guy this year with Carter Gylander, who Kosa's never really been in that position yet with the organization. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, Guylanders backed up Kosa for one game already. People forget about it. It was the game that Husso got hurt in warmups. But yeah, it's Travis, what are you thinking? Because I know we were like dead set on it's going to be Bednar and Guylander in Toledo this season. What are you thinking right now?
So a couple things. First, do you remember a couple weeks ago when I said Kosa might play 50 games or 60 games? That's looking like a possibility of a reality now. This is interesting. Now, Nick, to kind of go off what you said, you thought Bednar would be the next one up. Being that he's on a Griffins contract, it doesn't surprise me that he's going to be in Toledo. Look back the last, back even Pat Nagel, John Letherman, all guys that were Griffin contracts ended up in Toledo. And then like Philip Larson started with the Griffins and then he made his way down from there. So I'm not surprised. I think with Guylander playing in the NCAA for as long as he did, he's playing against older guys a lot of the time. Because, I mean, if you look at a lot of guys that come out of college, they're in their mid-20s. Junior, you're in your late teens or 20, 21. So I can't say I'm too surprised, but it's definitely Kosa's crease, and he's going to have to carry the workload, which, if you recall, when Letherman got called up to you guys, Kosa played pretty well every game, and Bednar was in Toledo. Like, Kosa played almost every single night, and that's when he went on like
on
a
a crazy
10-game
streak.
heater. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not really that worried about it. I think it'll be fine. I think Kosa's probably going to play a lot more games than initially was slated for. And then, hey, hopefully in a couple months, Jack's cleared from the PAP and he can come back, and then you get that mentorship with Kosa, who's already got the reins going, and Jack can just ease his way back in.
I'm wondering too, like, how long has this been going on? Is this why, Steve traded for Gage Alexander? Is that why we're rolling 3 in Detroit and then 3 in Toledo because of a situation like this? And I mean,
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
I wouldn't want to speculate on it either.
Hard to say.
You don't know until you know, right? I mean,
that was solely a cap dump trade anyways.
Yeah, and we've gone through these situations, with players in the past. It's rare that we see it. We've only seen it once in the last few years with Verana, and we didn't really know what was going on with it. We still don't know, and I don't care to know. But I think with Jack, it's we just wait it out and see. But it's kind of one of those things where you're thankful the organization did have a plethora of goalies to pick from, and we're not scrambling like last season again. Like this is nice to not be freaking out right now. I don't like that everyone went right to Alex Lyon being put on waivers and sent to Grand Rapids. That irritated me, but that's the internet's takes for you. But again, we just wish Jack the best, and we're just thankful that we have a stellar goaltender in Sebastian Kosa and a budding prospect in Carter Guylander that could turn into something special too. He's a big dude. He's a big goalie. And the little glimpses we could see in their little practice drills, I like his movements. I like how he plays the game. And just looking at his highlight tapes, he plays the crease really well. So I hope we get to see him in a game or two in Grand Rapids. I honestly do. I don't want this just to be just a thing where he rides the bench because it's the beginning of the season or whatever. I want to see him play. Just kind of know what we got. I hope it doesn't shake his confidence or anything. But obviously down the road when Jack is back, it's that's the tandem in Toledo, but it does give Alexander some time in Toledo that we didn't expect to really see. That I kind of thought he would be a third goalie down there for them, and we'll get to see what he's all about. So, and he's played ECHL games, like he's not new to this. So Toledo's got 2 goalies that have played the league and they understand the game well, and they're in good hands, just like Grand Rapids and just like Detroit is. So all is good in the goalie world. You just hope one's okay, and we hope we have him back sooner than later.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much wraps up all the roster movement. Obviously, everything we are recording right now on Sunday night is going to be obsolete by tomorrow morning when the waivers come out. But obviously,
2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, obviously the Marco Kasper move for Detroit looks like they're clearing that space for an extra forward for Austin Watson. I do want to get your guys' quick thoughts on that. I know we're not a Red Wings show, but what are your thoughts on having Austin Watson in Detroit? We'll go to Trav first.
So Detroit's got one main guy, like Rasmussen. But Rasmussen's been hurt. He gets hurt. Like, we need somebody that can just come in for like these games where you play your Ottawas. You're now, like, I'll tell you right now, Toronto's going to be a lot more physical team than they were last year under Craig Berube. These teams that are heavy, you're going to need that presence. And it's much easier to do that with a guy like Austin Watson making under $1 million probably than it was with Klim Kostin's ride in the press box at $2 million. So it's a virtually the same style player, real heavy. Klim's probably a little more offensively gifted, but Austin Watson's going to fill a role that, you know, I think fans are going to like once they see why this move was made. And ultimately, I think Marco benefits from this the most. Last year, Simon, everybody was like banging on the door. Simon start the year in the NHL, came back to Grand Rapids. He benefited from it, and you've seen it late in the year. Marco gets to come back, tear it up, and he could be called up by Thanksgiving. You know, that's the thing too. This isn't like a permanent thing by any stretch of the imagination. Somebody get hurt night one, Marco's going up. Like, that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention this earlier. Like, we went through training camp, we went through prospect camp, we went through preseason, and we got out of there with only 2 injuries, which is huge. Very huge. I mean, it was Shai Buyum. He got hurt during camp, and then we had Andre Betcher, who we're still not sure where he's going, and then we have Tim Gettinger, who's been off since last season. So technically 3 injuries. We're not having somebody out that's long term for what we know at the moment. Like last year, we had Matt Luff was out for half the season. So I mean, it's going into as good. We're healthy. I mean, if the first call up is probably end up going to be Marco Kasper if he's not just a paper move today. So Austin Watson, I mean, I like what Steve did. He knew that there was a need on the team for an aggressive guy for a situation, and he made sure he learned from his lesson from last year with Klim Kostin of not to overpay for that position, either with draft picks or with money. So it's a smart move by the organization, smart move by Steve. He learned from his lesson last year. Bring this guy in. He's a 13th forward. He's going to fill a role. He's got a role. He's got a specialty role. He's going to go in and do that if he's still with the organization tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, it was, for some reason, every preseason game that I got to catch, he was playing. And he was fun. Like,
he played in the first game. I've seen him in person. He's huge.
He's a big dude. He's fun. He is something that Detroit fans have been banging the drum for, to get a guy with that kind of grit to go out there and do what he needs to do in those games. Like you mentioned, Travis, it'd be very specific games he'll be playing. But we've needed that on this team, to not have Dylan Larkin go out there and drop the gloves to stick up for people. You don't need Raymond or Seider doing it. You need a guy that's just what he does. He goes out there and does it, and he does it really well. And God, when he throws hits, I just always think the glass is going to break. He's a big mofo. So he's
not to mention he ragdolled a guy off seider the other night.
God, you love to see that. I'm pretty sure that was the moment where they're like, all right, yep, he's good. We're bringing him in. It's a need that we have, and it's good to not have to expect some of these guys, like you said, Rasmussen, to go out there and play that role. Like Ras can play that role when needed, but we don't need him hurt. We need him out there because he's an impact player. Austin Watson gets hurt. It's not going to be like, Dylan Larkin missing a bunch of games and changing the outlook of the entire season. So it's a smart move, and yeah, I'm excited to see how this works out. I like having guys like that. I think every team needs a couple of those goons to go out there and protect the kids, especially with, we're going to have younger players coming up into the organization throughout this season. And it's good to know that they will at least be protected out there. So, and I'm sure maybe him and Simon can work together and teach Simon some new fighting tips. Who knows? Not that Simon needs him with the MMA training, but it's going to be interesting. But I know the overreactions tomorrow when that contract's announced. There's going to be overreactions left and right, that Marco should be there, Austin Watson shouldn't. And you can have that opinion, but this is the right move. And Travis, you hit the nail on the head. That extra half season of development that Simon Edmondson got last year before his first call up was so worth the time. He was instantly a better player because of that. So it's the right move. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. All right, so that does wrap up everything preseason wise, roster moves as it sets now. Obviously everything we say now will be obsolete by 2:00 tomorrow when all the waivers clear and everything. But we will have one more episode coming up before the Griffins season starts. Our final lineup predictions for opening night and all the other fun stuff, our season expectations, all that. So make sure you get ready to tune into that. That'll come out Thursday night right before the home opener. So you got something to listen to on the way to the rink that night. But to close up this episode, we're going to do something fun. We're going to start something new this year. And this was Travis's idea, so I'll let him explain it in a second. But basically, we're going to do a little hockey draft for ourselves as a show here. It's going to be NHL focused because this system doesn't work in the AHL, unfortunately, or the ECHL. So this will probably be recapped after every episode. And, it'll be our NHL talk time. And we'll be bragging about who's winning at that time. And it'll be me, even though I don't fully understand it still. But Travis, go ahead and explain this to the listeners, what we're doing this season.
Okay, so this is called the in-season cup. Now, what this is the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup this past year, so they will start the season with the cup. Every night of the NHL season, essentially, the cup is up for grabs unless the team that has it is idle and not playing that night. The only times throughout the season that the cup is not awarded is, I believe, the Christmas break and the break for the Four Nations face-off. Now, there are two winners. You could win both. You could win one. You could win none. It just depends how the draft goes for you. So what it is the team that has the cup at the end of the year is one of the champions. We could decide that could be the only champion, but really the way to do it, there is two winners. And then the other way is the team that had the cup for the most amount of days. Now, how does the cup change hands? You're probably wondering. So night one, the Florida Panthers will play the Boston Bruins. So if Florida wins, they keep the cup and add a day to their total, and then they keep it. Now, if the Panthers don't play, but there's other games on that night, they get it. They get the cup added that day. It gets added to their total. And then if they were to lose to Boston, then Boston takes it. And then say they play Colorado 3 nights later, Colorado beats them, Colorado gets it. So it is tracked. I'll keep track of it. There's also a Twitter handle that keeps track of this. Thank God. So, I'll end up with one less team. I thought that was only fair to Nick and Brandon, and since they started the show, but this is just something fun that I thought we should do. So let you guys take it away.
I like it. Where did you get the idea from again?
32 Thoughts, the podcast. They didn't do it last year, but they have done it the past couple of years. It's just something fun, and it is completely random. Just so you guys know, you could literally pick the last 4 teams that finished last in the NHL first, and Columbus won it last year, so just goes to show you.
Yeah, I like it. So Nick will pick first, I'll pick second, Travis will pick third, and then we'll go back to the start of that order. We can't do it snake draft style with the way we have this set up and there being not 4 of us. So
and we just figured that out.
Can we try that?
Yeah. No, we may have tried that already, and it'll be in the Patreon exclusive. But with that, Nick, you have the first overall pick. You are on the clock.
Oh man. I'm actually going to mix it up so that way we're not picking the same teams what we did last time. So I am actually going to go with the Boston Bruins first pick.
Interesting. You just want to be in the action game 1.
Yeah.
I have the second pick. I'm going to thank Travis for hosting this draft, and congratulations to the Columbus Blue Jackets for winning the ENC. Oh, sorry, we're not doing that. I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take the Red Wings. I know it's a weird first pick, but I got to be the homer here on this show.
All right. Wings and Bruins off the board. I'm going to go with Florida just because I want the cup at least once.
He just wants the day 1 total. Jeez.
Yeah.
Hey, I have
Boston
the cup
takes
at
it
my
from
house
you.
right now, so I don't want to hear it.
I hope Boston takes it from you night 1.
They might.
All right, Nick, you're back on the clock, sir.
All right, I'm taking my second favorite team, the Kraken.
Predictable pick.
Yep.
I am going to take the Colorado Avalanche. Wings followed by Avalanche. What a rivalry right there on my team. Crazy. All right, Trav.
So if you remember to Patreon, you know that I have both of these teams. I'm taking the Oilers again.
Of course you are. All right, Nick.
I am going to stick with the guns. I'm going with the Rangers.
All right. I'm going to go with the Winnipeg Jets.
I will take I'm gonna take the Hurricanes. Shout out to my buddy Andy who lives in North Carolina. Did that for him.
What a guy. All right, Nick, you're on the clock again. Who you taking?
I'm taking the Yetis. Utah.
Oh, there you go.
They'll
That
be
better
the
be the name.
Yetis.
That
I
better
think that
be the name,
is.
swear to God.
I have to add
But it can't
another.
be Yetis. It's got to be Yeti.
Either
And
or.
then the jersey sponsor's got to be Yeti. It's a match made in heaven. It's got to happen.
I'm surprised nobody's tried to take the sponsor Stanley.
Honestly, that's
Maybe
a
it's
topic for another
superstitious.
time. Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. I'm going to take the Dallas Stars.
Oh,
I'm going to throw things off from the previous draft.
That's all right.
Trav, what do you got?
I am gonna go with the Nashville Predators.
you son of a.
Language, sir. You've been warned before. Nick, you're up. Go ahead.
We'll just call the first one a practice draft.
Going with the Leafs.
Ooh, going with the Leafs. All right.
You can have the curse of 67.
The curse that won't be broken this year. I'll tell you that. I'm going to go with
I hate that pick, but
I'm going to go with Vancouver. I like that pick. Travis is going to pick an obvious one.
Who's that? Vegas?
Oh, is that who you're picking?
that's what
Yeah.
you should do.
Oh, okay. That's not what I thought.
Good for you. Steal from Brandon since he picked yours.
We're all stealing from each other at this point.
It's chaos.
I am gonna go with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay.
Devils. I'm going with the Devils. Going with the team leading the league right now.
Good pick. It's a good pull for this point of the draft. Oh boy, let's see here. I'm gonna double back. I'm taking Ottawa again.
Ooh. Trash. What? Anyways, Nick, what's your pick?
I'm going with Ovi. Going with the Capitals.
Knew that was coming.
Yep.
Predictable. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Flyers. Why? I don't know, but I'm doing it.
Mitchkov, towards
Torts.
second season.
it's torts. Anyways,
Let's see here. I am gonna go with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
all right.
I'm really going against the whole Red Wing fandom here.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, there'll be hate in the comments for Travis, and it's warranted just for this, though. Only this. Nick, you're on the clock.
Oh, sorry. Usually the music plays. I'm gonna go with the Islanders.
All right.
I still like
all right.
that pick.
I'm going to go with last year's in-season cup champion, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Talk about someone going against Wings fandom over here. I've picked the Avs and the Blue Jackets. Ugh.
Oh boy, let's see who's left. I'm gonna
Good
go with
question.
yeah, I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Wild. Take my wife's favorite logoed team.
I do like their logo, and it took me so many years to realize it was a bear. But
It's a bear.
oh Jesus,
There is
kidding.
one
Nick,
sleeper
you're
still
a-
sitting out here.
you're on the clock.
I'm gonna go with the Kings.
That was who I was thinking.
That is the sleeper that was out there. I'm gonna go with the Sharks.
Oh boy. You know what? I've already kind of gone against Red Wing fans here, so we're just gonna add the Blackhawks.
Jeez.
I'm going with the Ducks.
Quack.
Quack quack. I love the orange.
It's so sick. It really is. I'm gonna go with the Flames. Go with the Flames. Travis is gonna pick. I'm gonna say he's gonna pick St. Louis. That's just my guess, but
I was between them or the Canadiens, but I'm gonna go with St. Louis. Why as well? I was on the trip. I was there. We'll go with the Blues.
number
Dang it.
14 for you. right? That was number
15.
that was number 15. My bad.
That's 15.
My bad. Nick.
Who's left?
Canadians and Sabres.
Yep, those two.
I go with the Sabres.
I'll go with the Canadians. All right, that does wrap it up. We have our teams set in place. Travis, give the folks a breakdown of who has who again, real quick, and then we'll let the listeners fight it out in the comments for who's going to win this year. So, Travis, take it away.
All right. So Nick has the Boston Bruins, Seattle Kraken, New York Rangers, Utah HC because they're not the Yeti yet, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning, Washington Capitals, New York Islanders, Los Angeles Kings, Anaheim Ducks, and Buffalo Sabres. Brandon, Detroit Red Wings, Colorado Avalanche, Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars, Vancouver Canucks, New Jersey Devils, Philadelphia Flyers, Columbus Blue Jackets, San Jose Sharks, Calgary Flames, and the Montreal Canadiens. And myself, who should win this. Just kidding. Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers, Carolina Hurricanes, Nashville Predators, Vegas Golden Knights, Ottawa Senators, Pittsburgh Penguins, Minnesota Wild, Chicago Blackhawks, and the St. Louis Blues.
Hearing it back, his team's stacked, but it doesn't matter because this is going to be chaos. Because
It's random.
It's so random.
It is
100%
so
random. And with
Can we
how random
trade?
it is, let us know. No, we're not trading. No trade deadlines here.
Can we do another one? I don't like how this worked.
Well, that sucks for you. But everyone, let us know in the comments who you think is going to win, even though it is completely random. We know it's random, but it'll be fun. We'll update you guys weekly on it. Travis gets the painstaking task of keeping track of it all. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you guys wanted to do this because this is going to be fun, and we haven't figured out what the winners get or how they're getting it yet, but I'm sure there'll be some sort of an award given out.
Yeah, we'll think of something here. We've got a whole season to figure it out, but you know,
I know for 32 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman, if he wins it, he gets to pick somebody to be his runner for Hockey Night in Canada. So between the other three, so that's something fun. But it'll probably be like I'll lose and Brandon will win, and I'll have to run popcorn up to the press box or something, or wherever he's sitting, or I'll have to come up and do some other stuff. Or if Nick wins, I'll have to come work for free. And
Yard's still there, still ready. I haven't touched it since you left.
if I win, they both take over editing and I get to enjoy life.
We better not lose Travis. Rig this thing. He doesn't know the rules yet.
Well, this will be fun. We hope everyone else will enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed listening to the draft of it. But I think that does wrap up this episode because really, if we add any more context to anything, it's going to be obsolete within the next 48 hours. So really, we'd just be wasting your time, and we don't want to do that. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It is good to be back to regular season content, reminding everyone that our standard upload schedule is Mondays and Thursdays for the regular season. That'll be when all the content comes out. We might sprinkle some extras in there in between. We know this week there's 3, so get ready for that. We've got an exciting interview coming up to cap off our Summer of the Storm series where we interviewed 6 different people within the Toledo Storm organization. If you haven't checked out those episodes, we highly recommend it, not just if you're a Toledo hockey fan, a hockey fan in general, especially an old school hockey fan. The stories we got out of these players were legendary. And some of the stories that they have from old school Red Wings training camp were just unreal, especially any story involving Probert. They were just great. So go check those out. They're all listed in a playlist on our YouTube channel. And of course, you can find them anywhere else you get your podcast and where you're listening to this currently. And the one coming out this week is with the head coach, GM, pretty much everything with the Toledo Storm, the mastermind behind the back-to-back championship teams, Chris McSorley, which if you know that name, you've probably seen a clip of him throwing stuff from the bench onto the ice in a rage because that's just how he was as a coach. He was a dream to interview. The guy was so awesome to talk to. His stories were legendary. So be sure to tune into that one on Wednesday. We cannot wait to share it with you. With that, we'll wrap up the episode. As always, we got to thank the sponsors, DraftKings and BetterHelp from the network there. We appreciate you guys, and the Hockey Podcast Network as well. And the main show sponsor, Everything Hockey. Make sure you head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. And the show would not be possible without our Patreon subscribers. And those are currently...
We've got Randy is back for season 2 with us. We've got Derek Sleezer. We've got Lori and Alan as our Patreon members. So this month is October. So it is going back to, if you want to see the extra content, you do have to subscribe. You have to join one of those 3 tiers to get the extra exclusives. And I believe we're doing a raffle maybe soon.
I believe we are as well. We'll have tons of extra content and some fun behind the scenes stuff and some bonus content from the arena as well here in Grand Rapids. More details to come on that soon, but we cannot wait to share some of these stories with you. Thank you to everyone who's jumped in and subscribed. We hope you guys enjoyed the month of free content on there. And like Nick said, if you want to be a part of it, head over to patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast. Join up on there. Check us out for a month. And if you hate us, you can leave. But I don't think you will. I think we'll have a lot of fun on there. But again, everyone who's already jumped in there to support the show, thank you. We appreciate it so much. With that, boys, it's time to wrap this one up because I got to go edit this before the Austin Watson contract actually comes out at midnight tonight. So everyone, have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you on Wednesday and Thursday this week. Go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey.